All right, so our next presentation, this is with my good friend, Greg Heist from Gongos Research, VP of Innovation, and Joyce Salisbury from GM. Remember again, that top 50 list is, yet again, one of those other companies that really belongs on there.
One of the things that I hope everyone walks away from our conference with today is the word disruption. And be it neuromarketing, social media, or as our presentation by Meryl this morning, just the DNA of our industry is being disrupted. And that's the theme that Joyce and I want to talk about today with regard to smartphone technology, apps, and how that applies to the future of online communities. So, if you think about it, a smartphone isn't just a cool gadget. It's really the catalyst of a cultural revolution. And it's a pretty bold statement, but if you think about it, it's true. It's connecting us in new ways. It's engaging us in new ways. It's fundamentally, Amber Case, a cyborg anthropologist, she said that it's a catalyst of our evolution as a species. This is an externalized portion of our brain. So something, if a piece of technology is that important, that as researchers and as an industry, this is something we need to pay very, very close attention to. So in particular today, what we want to do is, we've talked a lot about mobile in this conference, what we want to do is we want to talk about the idea of untethering consumers, releasing them from their desks, releasing them from their homes, and engaging them where they are, whatever they're doing. But let's just kind of take a step back. Our friends in Cambridge, Massachusetts, can and should be credited with creating the online community space. And since then, them, as well as many other firms, have really engaged over really hundreds of thousands of consumers in online communities. And really in the last 5 years, there are some things they think that have changed as well. So while the initial focus of online communities was more of a marketing and communication piece, in the last 5 years, these have now really become honest research platforms. So real marketing research is being done in these communities. But also within the last 5 years, there have been some other things that have been important changes as well. The first is smartphones. Okay, we talked a little bit about that. Actually, while I was waiting for our presentation, I actually looked at some of the Facebook statistics. And the most recent statistics show that 250 million Facebook users access Facebook from their mobile device. Smartphones themselves in the United States, this is the year, by the end of this year, a tipping point will occur, and that this is the first year that smartphones will actually outsell feature phones. So we're really rapidly kind of evolving along this path. But on top of that, and I think one of the reasons why smartphones are being adopted so quickly is the whole idea of apps. So if the smartphone is the hardware, the apps are the software. So let's talk a little bit about the explosion of the app first. Okay? What I want to do is I want to show you some data. This is just from Apple. And this basically shows from the launch of the App Store in July 2008 through January 2011, from 10 million to 10 billion downloads, from 800 apps to 350,000 apps. Now, those numbers are staggering in and of themselves. But it's not just happening because it's a fad. It's not just happening randomly. It's happening for a reason. And 9 months ago, Wired Magazine wrote a really interesting article about the death of the web, long live the internet. And one of the quotes, I think, from a research perspective is very relevant here, that these app platforms are just work better, fit into consumers' lives. I think from a research perspective, this is something that's very important to us and something we've heard from other presentations as well. The screen comes to them, they don't have to go to the screen. Isn't that exactly what we want? And that's exactly what this app platform delivers. So, with 350,000 apps, one of the things we want to share with you in this session is not to talk about the research end as much, but to more talk about the technology. And if there's 350,000 apps, and those of you that have smartphones know, there's some apps that are great, there's some apps that you use all the time, and there's some apps that just really don't work as well as they should, or maybe they're not quite as cool as they used to. So we actually talked to the GM Youth Content Panel, which Joyce will talk about in a little bit, group of Gen Y consumers, and asked them 3 questions. First of all, what are your workhorse apps? What are the apps you use the most? From a theme perspective, A lot of these make perfect sense. Social networking, of course, right? Financial information in general, shopping, and gaming. Okay? What I thought was really interesting was Words with Friends. I didn't necessarily think that that demographic played Words with Friends as much, and I was blown away by how often it came up. So these are the things that are probably the core of their smartphone experience. We also asked them, what apps are cool? What are the apps that you show to your friends that kind of show off what a smartphone can do? And again, when you take a look at some of the things that bubbled up to the top, there's some neat themes, some interesting themes. One of them are these things that take advantage of the things that are unique to this type of device. So the bump app, where the physical act of jiggling the accelerometer transfers information, apps, game information, all that sort of stuff. I don't know if anyone's ever used the Ocarina app from Smool, where you blow into the end of your iPhone and it becomes like a little flute or thing. It's kind of cool. Or the Star Chart app, where you actually hold your phone or your iPad up to the sky and you can see what the constellations are. So those types of, those types of capabilities really make kind of like the cool element of what makes apps cool. The other two, Pandora and Netflix, the unlimited, you're no longer constrained by the memory of your device. You can get whatever you want, whenever you want. What about ones that kind of jump the shark? One of the things that's really interesting here is that gaming came up very frequently. So as we think about game development from a research perspective, recognize that there'll be a challenge to keep it fresh, and to keep it from becoming a trend, a fad. The MySpace, the decline of that social network is also rubbed off right now. So you really want to just talk to you about that, so if those of you are thinking about developing apps, there's some kind of things to keep in mind. But from our perspective, a mobile, I forgot one thing. Skip past one. Oops. I love technology. Well, my point was, hang on. Whoa. My point was that hopefully your app works better than this flash app is working at the moment. But the other piece I wanted to talk about is this idea of mobile social networking. And as I said, Facebook being as it is. It's just the way people engage in social networks. So from our perspective, creating an app, a research community, a mobile app is the logical extension of the research community experience. And we feel like mobile communities will change the game in a number of different ways. I'm going to kind of skip through these because I think we talk about this a lot. Responsiveness, clearly. The vivid real-time feedback, absolutely. Deeper engagement, and this is actually a quote from a person who's using our app, which we call iCommunities Mobile or IC Mobile. She's talking about the fact that she can now just engage in the community when she's with her kids. She doesn't have to go to where the computer is in the basement. I'm there, I can participate as my day goes on. Well, why develop an app? Why not create a mobile web version of your community and just kind of go with it from there? There's kind of four things that we thought about, and I think they're worth thinking about. One is, really, an app is the only way to truly mirror the online community experience in all its glory. So, the ability to do dialogues, flash polls, surveys, all those sorts of things. Really the best way to do it. I think the other thing is that the app provides an opportunity to actually improve on that experience. So, seamlessly uploading photos and videos, it's a lot easier to use the app to do that than it is to plug your digital camera in and upload a video you just shot. We have multiple communities. We want to create one platform that we can customize for each one. An app is a perfect way to do that. And also, this is an open-ended platform. Our app is not where we want it to be, but you know what? We have a great platform to build on and add additional functionality. That's, I think, a really good reason to think about creating an app. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at two mobile-enabled communities. The first is within Consumer Village, a community that Gongos owns. It's called Airwaves. And basically, this is about 500 GenPop members who have downloaded our app, and this is kind of like a sub-community within that platform. We've done a lot of experimentation and exploration with them. And when someone downloads our app, that's where if they don't belong to the community of ours, that's where they start. So what I want to do is now turn things over to Joyce to talk about her community and some of the things that we've learned.
Thank you very much, Greg. This is a community, a mobile app community that is GM's first real entry into the idea of mobile communities. I'm trying not to walk in front of my presentation. But today I'm not going to so much go into a case study of this app as to really try to share with you what I call my pain and gain of going through this process of taking our communities and actually using mobile to interact with them. And that was really important for us because we kind of knew internally that, you know, we couldn't put out a 40-minute conjoin on a mobile, you know, app. But that because we had this long relationship with this youth confidant panel, we could ask them to do really small bites of research for us, leveraging the mobile phone, that would give us much more interesting and deeper insights. But along the way, we also wanted to learn sort of what works and what doesn't work with regards to creating an app community. And so we had this group of 1,400 members, again, Gen Y, the 16 to 29, and it's one of 3 of our existing communities that we're running with Gongos at this point. And what's interesting about the youth one is they obviously index higher on the iPhone than a typical iPhone market share. And so it was a good selection from a technology standpoint because we began with the iPhone platform to use our youth community as opposed to one of our larger, you know, Auto Insight online communities.